I'm Adam Reese. We are about to get geeky. Please direct your attention to the vertebral column up in the front instead of the Hooked on Phonics showcase that some of our members wanted to put on the board. We've got some personalities in here. But the reason that this gets bigger from the top to the bottom is because that's actually how your spine works. At the top you've got your neck, your cervical column, which has much smaller vertebrae than down at the bottom where they're much bigger. But we're going over shoulder health, and what we want to get across is not just where everything sits, but how everything pulls on your shoulder and how it's kind of more a holistic approach when you start to deal with training. And what we have here, so we're just going to make a circle for the head, and we're going to make a very simple hip, and your shoulder blade kind of sits over here, and we're just going to make another triangle for it, because I'm trying to keep this simple as possible. Now, when we're dealing with training, we really want, you've got your rib cage all along both sides. We're going to stick with the right side here. You really want this shoulder blade to kind of have a nice gliding effect. You want it to kind of rotate around, and you want to be able to move it side to side, and you want to be able to elevate it. Now, the thing is, you have this huge muscle that wraps around to the front, kind of like that. It's called your latissimus dorsi, and it really kind of over-dominates everything in the back of your shoulder. And the latissimus dorsi is actually an internal rotator, so it reaches up to the front of the shoulder and internally rotates that shoulder. You use it when you do chin-ups, and you use it quite a bit, actually more than people think, when you do bench press, or you should be anyway, and when you do certain pressing activities. Now, the problem becomes this is such a big muscle, and it attaches to the bottom of the shoulder blade, and then it attaches up into the front of, it's called your femoral head. It's this bone, and it's your upper arm bone, and then it attaches right into the front of that shoulder. It kind of internally rotates, but it also keeps the shoulder blade super locked down because it's so big and so strong. And you have other muscles up in the top that it kind of just beats. It just over-dominates them. So you've got your trapezius that kind of goes like this out to the edge of the shoulder, and then you've got your rhomboid that sits in here and pulls around. You have inside of here would be a few of your rotator cuff muscles, depending on which side of the shoulder blade you're talking, and some other muscles, but we're keeping this super simple. But then you also have your levator that kind of comes down like that to that top portion of the corner of that shoulder blade. Now, this is a tiny little muscle. It's not very big, next to one of the biggest muscles in your body. So this muscle stops that shoulder blade from being able to glide up on that rib cage the way that it should. And that's what we want. We want this nice glide of the shoulder blade when you reach your arm overhead. And you'd be amazed at how many people have trouble, and not just how many people, but how much trouble they have just getting their shoulder blade to have that nice movement pattern simply to reach their arm overhead. It's amazing how hard it is for people to do something like that. And nothing against them, it's their body holding them back. They've had years of sitting at a desk or sitting down just in general and locking that lat muscle down to do a lot of the jobs that are supposed to be up here. So when you're rowing and you're doing different things like that, it's really easy to overuse that lat muscle and not get everything else into the mix. So we really want a nice amount of levator activity. We want some rhomboid in there. We want that trapezius to be kicking on, not just in the top and the mid, but all of it. We want all of it. And it's kind of a little bit harder to get your mid and your low trap to really fire up and get into the mix. And it's pretty easy for that upper trap to get in the mix because it's just, your arm hangs from it all day long. So I mean, it's kind of bound to. But that levator gets left out pretty often. And this lat muscle actually comes down here and attaches to much more than just the vertebrae, but we're going to stay out of that. But the point is, we've got to loosen up that. We typically almost always have to work on loosening up that lat that over-dominates all of this in order to get the whole show to function the way that it needs to, because that shoulder blade should be able to elevate, should be able to move around on that rib cage for a nice fluid shoulder motion so that we're not developing any injuries and we continue to get stronger and we have as much health in that shoulder as we possibly can. But that's just super quick, super simple anatomy lesson of how your shoulders should move around, but also how things are attached and why we're pulling around on that lat muscle so much, and focusing on getting that to loosen up so that these other guys can become bigger players in the game. Thanks for watching, guys. Please comment below. It helps us out a ton, even if it's just one of those fist pounds emojis. Comments really are like, they make this so much more fun to do, and I really appreciate when you guys chime in. If you have a question though, holy crap, would I love to answer that. Please comment below, and thank you for watching.